Pacific Standard Time, all about marketing. Episode 119 begins right now. Obama says social media companies are making editorial choices, and I would agree with him on that one, which is why we've seen such a rise in Parler amid the Twitter and Facebook censorship, according to some folks on the right. Facebook tackles worst content first. We're learning a bit more about how they're tackling what they deem as misinformation. Twitter election stats, including numbers of tweets that have been labeled in this election and why. Fox Business host leaves Twitter for Parler. Parler's been in the news a lot lately, and I don't see that going anywhere. Facebook bug scares advertisers. There have been a lot of issues with Facebook advertising lately. We'll check out the most recent iteration. LinkedIn reaches 722 million users. Quite the growth there. And what is Discord, in case you are not familiar? It is a growing social media platform that we'll dive into. Show starts now. According to CNBC.com, Obama says social media companies are making editorial choices, whether they've buried them in algorithms or not. And I would have to agree with that. Now, the divide in this country, left versus right, liberal versus conservative, is a long-standing tradition in American politics. And not surprising to me that the companies that are the new newspapers, you could say, seem to be biased in very similar ways. The argument that they are not biased, to me, doesn't hold any water. I think the Facebooks and Twitters of the world in the earlier days were able to be more free speech. As they got bigger, the ability for them to simply say what you want, do what you do, decreases because they continue to grow and amass more and more power. Back to the article, former U.S. President Barack Obama said that the extent to which social media companies claim they are more like a phone company than they are like The Atlantic is not tenable. He told the publication in an interview published Monday. His statement that social media platforms should be considered more like publishers than public utilities would have significant implications on how the companies are regulated. So we've talked about a proposition that is being floated about how Facebook would be required to take responsibility for what other people publish. So if you are a platform and like Facebook, and someone says something that's a threat, perhaps you could be held criminally liable or face a fine for allowing that person to say that certain thing. It is the perfect recipe right now for Facebook to just rake in a ton of money. They get a lot of data from us. We produce the content for them. We're liable for that content. And in the end, Facebook is pretty much immune to lawsuits based on the content that other people post. The only real risk that they run is that users will look at the content, not like it, and leave the platform. Now, the censorship that Facebook and Twitter have been enacting of late, the labels, the censorship is sometimes the word used to describe it, but also the I guess like the managing, the teacher in the room, the labeling of information as incorrect, and the diminishing of the reach of posts have all resulted in two things, I would say. One, an exodus. A lot of folks are not happy with it, and they're heading out. And then the other side of it is, people are pleased to see that they're taking some action. So it's really defining the audience for Facebook and Twitter. Back to the article, Obama's statement that social media platforms should be considered more like publishers than public utilities would have significant implications. They are making editorial choices, this is a quote, whether they've buried them in algorithms or not. The former president said in the interview, the First Amendment doesn't require private companies to provide a platform for any view that is out there. At the end of the day, we're going to have to find a combination of government regulations and corporate practices that address this, because it's going to get worse. If you can perpetuate crazy lies and conspiracy theories just with texts, imagine what you could do when you can make it look like you or me saying anything on video. So he's talking about deep fakes, obviously. And we are pretty much there. We're pretty close to being able to create video that makes it look like the person in question is saying something that they are not. It's easy to take people out of context, and it's also very easy to just misquote people as saying things that they never said. So I think it's fair to say that these social media companies are making editorial choices. That seems to be an easy statement to agree with. Facebook tackles worst content first. This from socialmediatoday.com. Facebook has updated its content moderation queue system, which should lead to significant improvements in addressing the worst case reports and slowing down the spread of harmful content. This obviously is very hard to do. If you have an algorithm that identifies problems, identifies misinformation, now you would need a more advanced algorithm to then determine what misinformation is the worst. Why is this worse than that? And why would we put that ahead of the queue? Keywords obviously would be a main search element to that, determining based on the keywords of the article. But as you are already aware, the English language is very nuanced. People can be using sarcasm. And so trying to figure this out is almost as difficult as getting search right for Google. So Facebook dealing with some pretty complicated stuff here. Back to the article, the new process utilizes improved machine learning processes, exactly, to categorize reported content, as explained by The Verge. Quote, in the past, Facebook's moderators reviewed posts more or less chronologically, dealing with them in the order that they were reported. Now, Facebook says it wants to make sure the most important posts are seen first, and is using machine learning to help. In the future, an amalgam of various machine learning algorithms will be used to sort this queue, prioritizing posts based on 3 criteria: their virality, their severity, and the likelihood that they're breaking the rules. So there you go, the virality, which is to say how quickly it's growing and spreading, if it is a lie. Their severity, just how bad are the ramifications, and of course the likelihood that they're breaking the rules. So those 3 things are very difficult to program into an algorithm. So this will basically ensure that Facebook's team of human moderators are being guided towards the worst case reports first. So you're still ending up with a person at the end of the day, but that person's queue is being changed based on this algorithm that is predicting the worst content first. Socialmediatoday.com Twitter election stats. To the article we go. In the lead up to the U.S. election, Twitter announced a range of new measures designed to slow the spread of misinformation and keep people informed. We get it. And now with the election behind us, Twitter has shared some insights. So let's get into those. Approximately 300,000 tweets have been labeled thus far under its civic integrity policy for content that's being disputed and potentially misleading. 456 of these tweets were also covered by a warning message and had engagement features limited. 74% of people who viewed these tweets saw them after the warning label was applied. Twitter saw a 29% increase in quote tweets of these labeled tweets. And so, I don't know, 300,000 tweets have been labeled. It'll be interesting to see how this changes in the future. This is kind of a baseline. I don't think we have a lot of stats kind of election cycle over election cycle, but as we move forward into the 2024 elections, this data I think will make a lot more sense. So for example, if 300,000 tweets have been labeled this time, if it's 2 million next time, well then we know we have a growing problem. Fox Business host leaves Twitter for Parler. This from NPR.org. I like the kind of the NPR left-leaning, Fox Business right-leaning, all in one article. Maria Bartiromo, the Fox Business host, according to NPR.org, declared herself done with Twitter 2 days after the election. She tweeted a link to an article that falsely claimed Democrats were trying to steal the election. Twitter hid the post behind a label warning that it contained misleading information. Twitter also notified Bartiromo that someone had complained about her account. So she said that's enough. This is a quote from her. She says, "This is the same group who abused power in 2016. She had 900,000 followers, so that's a pretty big deal. I will be leaving soon and going to Parler. Please open an account at Parler right away." So she's trying to shift her audience over to Parler. Parler we've been covering the last few days. Quote, "John and I started Parler to provide a neutral platform for free speech." This is Rebecca Mercer. She is Rebecca Mercer is an early investor in Parler. Parler, founded in 2018, touts itself as the world's premier free speech platform. The CEO and founder, John Matza, said one of the privately owned company's early investors is Rebecca Mercer, who, along with her father, hedge fund billionaire Robert Mercer, had been a backer of Trump. So the company puts, according to this article from NPR, few restrictions on what users can post, and that's made it attractive to high-profile conservatives. So if you are a conservative and you are getting banned on a lot of these platforms, it does make sense, at least from a marketplace perspective, that a Parler is going to emerge. I was talking about this 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. And Parler obviously existed during this time, but this is really sort of the explosion of growth. And so I think this is what you naturally get over time. So I'm not saying that Facebook's right, Parler's right, Facebook's wrong, or Parler's wrong. What I'm saying is when you have a Facebook which starts out pretty neutral and then it starts veering in a certain direction, to former President Obama's point of you're going to make editorial decisions. There's just no way around it. It's going to happen. And when you start doing that, you're going to start making some folks happy and some folks not. And so that leaves space for places like Parler. Facebook bug scares advertisers. This is from marketingland.com. More Facebook ad bugs unnerve advertisers ahead of Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Facebook ads has earned a reputation for being particularly glitchy and unpredictable. Over the past 12 to 18 hours, many advertisers experienced issues with temporary ad disapprovals and accounts being disabled. Quote, this is the second widespread bug that we've seen impact Facebook campaigns in the last 4 weeks. The most recent bug caused multiple accounts to receive ad disapprovals starting around 6 p.m. Central Time yesterday. Zania Johnson, account lead at performance agency 3Q Digital, told Search Engine Land on Friday. So basically, this sort of issue, Facebook bugs, on top of some of the other issues that are occurring with Facebook, just show that they are not a perfect company by any stretch of the imagination. And if you have been running ads on Facebook and have had any issues recently, you can know that perhaps it is due to said bug. LinkedIn reaches 722 million users from marketingland.com. The number of users on LinkedIn increased 9% again year over year to 722 million in the third quarter. Microsoft reported this week LinkedIn revenue increased by 16% and sessions rose 31% year over year. So LinkedIn's membership continues to tick up steadily. Microsoft said LinkedIn saw record levels of engagement. So if you're looking at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, who's winning, who's losing, it appears to me that LinkedIn is very strong. I don't see LinkedIn going anywhere anytime soon. I'm starting to see certain issues with Facebook and Twitter. I am less bullish on them than I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. TikTok winning a lot of court cases recently. So what is Discord? Final point of the day. Discord is another fast-growing social app, according to CNBC.com, which lets users create servers where friends can hang out in text-focused chat rooms or on voice or video calls. The app is especially popular among video gamers who use the voice and video call features to chat with their friends while gaming together online. So if you've never heard of Discord, it might be something you want to check out. When I was streaming chess on Twitch, folks kept asking me, what's my Discord? What's my Discord? It seems to be a pretty good place to create a community around a central idea. Back to the article, Discord has seen its usage grow to more than 100 million monthly active users, up nearly 79% from 56 million last November. So big growth on Discord, up to 50-person group video calls. Pretty cool. So if you're unfamiliar, you might want to check it out. So ladies and gentlemen, to summarize, Obama says social media companies are making editorial choices. I would agree with him on that. I think it's inevitable. Facebook has an even more advanced algorithm that allows the human moderators to tackle the worst content first. Twitter election stats, 300,000 tweets have been labeled. Just to kind of give you a benchmark for this year, Fox Business host leaves Twitter for Parler. Unsurprisingly, it would be hard to leave 900,000 Twitter followers. It would just be difficult to leave the platform after you've been working on it for such a long time. But this is the natural sort of extension of policies that make some people happy and other folks not so much. Facebook scares advertisers with a bug. Facebook's buggy. and it's just the nature of it. LinkedIn reaches 722 million users. They seem pretty solid to me, and if you haven't checked out Discord, you might want to do that. Leave us a comment in chat, hit that like button if you haven't already, por favor. If you want to reach out to us directly, it's info@senditrising.com. You can give us a ring, 702-263-0141. If you email us a question, I can add it to the show and answer it here live. The podcast is available on Spotify and iTunes. Thanks so much for swinging by the show today. We will see you tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Class dismissed.